where we are. But if you're new to the show, welcome. The way this works is I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. Whatever platform you're on, you can ask any health questions you want. Type it in. John, my producer, will then ask me the questions at the break. Then I'll do another 24 minutes, and then I'll answer more questions for you. So it's a great opportunity to have your questions answered. And when I do radio and television, the other day I did a 2-hour show, and it was nothing but questions. So I'm happy to answer your questions, and you can always send questions through the website as well, drjoe.com. May not get to them today, but I'll get to them soon. So you ready to go, John? Okay, we're still waiting. He's still getting everything set up. So please share this with your entire contact list. This is vital information. We're going to talk today about why can't I lose weight? Big question, right? And I'll tell you why I'm doing this topic when we start the show, actually. There's actually a reason behind it specifically today. So welcome. If you're just new to the show, I'm glad you're here. And so if again, we just started Instagram, I think it was. I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. You ask any questions you want. I'll do another 24 minutes. You ask questions again. So this is your great opportunity to ask health questions. So I am ready to go whenever you are, John. John's pushing buttons. So here we go. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you're with me today. What we're going to talk about today, I'm going to answer a question for you. Why can't I lose weight? And the reason I'm doing this, there's always a reason why I do a show. I've been, lecturing now for 45 years, and there's always a reason behind what I do, and I'm inspired by what I see in my world around me. So the other day, I was out for a walk, and there's a beautiful place in Roswell, Georgia, and it's right along Chattahoochee River, and it's this long boardwalk. And it's really nice, and you walk along the water, and sometimes it's shaded, sometimes it's not, and the geese and the fish are jumping, and people are kayaking. And it's just a really pristine walk, and one of my favorite places to be. So I'm going for a walk, and I'm seeing a lot of people, and my mother was an angel, and she smiled at everybody. And when I was a kid, I thought it was weird. I thought, why is she always talking and smiling at everybody? And now as I'm an adult, I realize it's wonderful. It makes you feel good. So I'm smiling, saying hi to everybody like I usually do. And I'm just looking at the people. And generally speaking, I'm looking at them and I'm saying, I see a pattern here. What's the pattern? So there's people in workout clothes, and there's people on bikes, and there's people jogging. But when I looked around, 1 out of 20 average, I did some average math here, were proper weight. 19 out of 20 were either overweight or obese. Now, kudos to them for being out walking and getting that exercise in, getting the fresh air, getting the sunlight. Absolutely kudos. But I thought to myself, this is pretty much society. We are an overweight society. What is it, 60% of us are overweight and 50% of them are obese or something along those lines. So I thought to myself, here these people are out there walking, exercising, but they're not losing weight. Maybe they are. Maybe they just started their journey. I don't know. But a lot of my patients have this problem too, and I'll be honest, I have this problem. It's really hard to maintain your weight, especially as you get older. So let's talk about reasons why you're not losing weight. Because every day patients come in and say, Dr. Joe, I'm eating right. I'm taking my supplements. I don't know why I'm not losing weight. And then when I start questioning them, I kind of made this list here. When I start questioning them, it's one or more of the things we're going to talk about today that's stopping them. And you think you're eating well, but many times you're not. I hear that all the time. Well, Dr. Joe, I eat really well. And I look at their diet. I have them write down a diet diary. And I go, oof. Whoa. This is not well, okay? I had a patient come in this week, and about my age, and I came in, and I walk into the room, and I start doing my consultation with him, and I said, so what brings you here today? He says, I want to stay healthy. And he just stopped. And I thought, I love that answer. Patients usually come in with neck pain, back pain, digestive issues, headaches, all sorts of serious issues, cancer. And he said, I just want to stay healthy. What can I do to stay healthy? So I did an exam. I took some x-rays, did nutrition evaluation on him. And I said, you've got some structural issues. One hip is higher than the other. Your neck is way forward from where it should be. You have a little bit of arthritis in your mid-back. And he says, okay, what do I got to do to fix it? So I put together a treatment plan. I went over nutrition with him. He says, okay. And I thought, this is the ideal patient. He's like, yeah, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. I love that. So that's where I want to get all of you. I want to get you all to the point you say, what do I got to do to stay healthy? Not get healthy. We're going to get you there first and then stay healthy. That's my ultimate goal. So let's talk about reasons why you can't lose weight. One of them, which is extremely common, I got to do a whole show on this. Actually, I have it all laid out. It's in me. I have a queue of shows I got to do, is your sleep schedule is just totally whacked. How many people have trouble sleeping? Raise your hands. Now, all of us do at some point. But when it becomes a regular thing, that becomes an issue. Personally, I love waking up in the morning going, man, that was a good sleep. And those were some good dreams right there. And so that's the perfect night for me. I just love that. Now, if you get more than 9 hours of sleep, you may be people saying, oh, I'm so jealous, but that could be too much sleep. So too much or too little can be an issue. Now, one of the things we find that when people get depressed, they have a tendency to sleep more. That's okay. Your body is processing whatever devastating impact something had in your life, and your body has to process all this information. So maybe it's a breakup of a relationship. Maybe it's a death of a loved one. Maybe it's loss of a job. Maybe it's a issue with your pets. So yes, there are issues. And with depression, we have to understand it's normal. I remember back in high school, I think it was, maybe grammar school, I wrote a report. There was a woman called E. Kubler-Ross, and she wrote a book called On Death and Dying. Happy topic for a young kid to write on. But it talked about the stages of grief you have to go through. And if you realize you're going through these stages of grief, that's healthy. You know, first is denial. No, it didn't happen. Was it denial? Bargaining with God. You know, God, if you would just fix this, I'll do this. Anger. I'm so mad that this happened. Depression. Acceptance. I think those are the 5 stages, if I remember them correctly, back from 8th grade. But when you go through a crisis, you can look up the 5 stages of grief and look at them. And when you read it, and you can say, oh my gosh, I am in denial. No, that relationship is going to work out. They're going to come back to me. No, that person really isn't dead. No, that they're going to call me back and take me back for my job. That's fine. That's denial. And then you bargain. God, if I could just work this out, or whoever you bargain with, if I could just make this happen, then I'll do this. And then the anger stage. And the anger stage is kind of interesting because you're mad at yourself, you're mad at the other person, you're mad at the situation. And then depression. And when you get to the depression stage, sometimes you may sleep more. That's okay. And then acceptance. But the cool part is if you know where you are, you know what's coming next, and you could look out for it. So anyway, that may be a whole nother show I need to do on death and dying. E. Kubler-Ross. So we're talking today about why I can't lose weight, but if you're sleeping too much, it's a problem. If you're not sleeping enough, that can throw off your hormones, your cortisol level. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It causes you to lay down fat, and fat causes you to gain weight, and fat produces estrogen, which then causes you to lay down more fat. And so that can also make you eat more. When people are depressed, one of 2 things happen. One, you eat too much, one, you don't eat enough. But either way, you're not getting the proper nutrients. Because if I'm eating too much, I'm not eating salads and chickpeas. I'm eating the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. So that's something you got to be careful about. So if you understand what's going on in your head, you can step back logically and say, okay, this is where I am. This is what I'm doing. So if you're not getting enough sleep, be careful about that. One of the things that helps tremendously with sleep is activity. If you lay around all day, it's really hard to get to sleep. But activity is going to be one of the keys that you want to add to your repertoire of things to do. So go for a walk. We're going to talk a little later about cross crawl. Simple exercise. I do it constantly, all day, every day. Really helps build up your abs, but it really helps build up your brain too. Because so many times you say, well, I got this beer belly, I just can't get rid of it. Well, you don't have muscle under it. Well, there is muscle under there. There's fat on top of it. Doing a simple exercise, it's standing, doesn't take any work. Anybody can do it. You can do it sitting if you want to. And that really helps build up the abs, which builds muscle, which then muscle helps burn more calories and you lose more weight. So there's this whole process that goes on. And it resets the brain so you get active. So when you're active, when you're at night, then you can go to sleep. So there's a lot of things that go on when you can't sleep. And then, of course, temperature. 68 degrees is what they say is perfect. I like it at 74 degrees. I like my room a little warmer. I like to have a fan on. Some people don't. You got to find out what works for you. Also, I know that I can't, if I drink too much, I got to get up and pee, especially if you're over 40, men. You're going to have some swelling of the prostate, and that's going to be an issue too. So I don't drink too much after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that ties into you don't drink enough. And drinking enough water is going to be really important to help lose weight. So the way you know you're drinking enough water is when you pee, it comes out clear. Now, if you're taking Dr. Joe's B complex, for example, vitamin B2 can make your pee turn yellow. That's normal. But generally speaking, when you pee, it should be clear, odorless. If you want to know if it's clear, you can look at it, of course. And if you want to check it, you can pee in a clear glass cup and look at it and see if there's a bunch of stuff floating around in it. Maybe there's blood in there. That could be a serious issue. But you got to drink enough water. Now, water, of course, has no calories, but many times when we're hungry, we're not hungry, we're thirsty. There's a part of your brain, it's called the hypothalamus, and part of that hypothalamus controls hunger and part of it controls thirst. When you're a baby, an infant, those parts are very separate, and you can tell the difference between hunger and thirst. As you get older, those two parts kind of grow together. So it's hard to distinguish between hunger and thirst. So many times when you're hungry, you're thirsty. Not all the time. I just had this discussion with a patient the other day. He said, I heard you say that in one of your shows, and I got to find, I didn't understand what you were saying. So here's a rule. Before every meal, I want you to have a glass of water. 6 ounces, 8 ounces, 10 ounces, whatever it is. Now, I don't do that at dinner because I pee too much. But 6 to 8 ounces, 10 ounces of water before every meal. Wake up, have a big glass of water. Lunch, big glass of water. You're going to find you eat so much less because you weren't hungry, you were thirsty. And that's a real simple, easy, quick fix. Now, sodas, juices, coffee, they don't count. It has to be water. Now, you can do herbal tea if you want to. An herbal tea is a tea made with anything pretty much aside from regular orange pekoe tea. But make sure you get a caffeine-free one. Because we're talking about sleep, caffeine has a half-life of about 8 hours. That means half of it gets out of your body in 8 hours. So if I have coffee, I don't drink coffee, but I can't do any caffeine. I get a headache. But if I do caffeine in the morning, by the time I get to bed at night, it should be out of my system. Now, there are these exceptional people, I think they're aliens, that can drink caffeine and go right to bed. I've met these people. I've seen them. I think it's weird. But their body processes caffeine differently. There's fast metabolizers and slow metabolizers when it comes to caffeine. Different lecture altogether. So drink a lot before you eat, breakfast and lunch especially, and watch how much less you eat. Now, some people don't eat breakfast right around 10 o'clock. They get hungry. Make sure you have that water first. Before any meal or any snack, big glass of water. And that can help your metabolism and help your bowels move better. And if the bowels are moving better, chances are you're going to lose weight too. Many times when we get people on things like Dr. Joe's intestinal formula, which helps clean out the colon, or get them on a high-fiber diet, they start to lose weight. They'll lose 5, 10, 15 pounds in a week or two. Well, they didn't really lose weight. They just cleaned out their colon. That's okay. It's still weight. But then the stomach flattens out, the bloating goes away, and they go, oh, my gosh, this stuff's amazing. I'm looking skinny. Awesome. Love it. Now, don't do things like a laxative to lose weight because you can't absorb nutrients, and that can be extremely dangerous. So I'm not recommending doing something to get your bowels moving. We do have a product, Dr. Joe's intestinal formula. It's not a laxative. It helps naturally get the bowels moving. But it's the only product I have that I don't want you using forever. I want you to find out why the bowels aren't moving. That's more important. But sometimes you need a little jump start. Another reason why we can't lose weight, if just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking about why you can't lose weight, is you wait too long to eat. So you get very hungry, and then you make bad choices. Now, some of us have made bad choices in our lives. Of course, not me, of course. But no, we've all made bad choices in our lives. And we have to realize, why did we make this bad choice? Now, if I'm hungry, I'm not going to probably eat the best thing. One of the worst things you can do is go grocery shopping when you're hungry, because you are going to make some stupid choices. I don't care who you are, you're going to make some stupid choices. So here's the rule on eating. It takes 20 minutes to get the message from your stomach to your brain. So if I'm starving, I'm famished, I have to eat something. I want you to have 2 handfuls of nuts, half an avocado, bowl of quinoa. Wait 20 minutes. I know it's hard because when you're hungry, you just want to eat. Now, I remember years ago, I had one of my assistants, her name was Sierra, and I gave a lecture. And after the lecture, she came up to me. She says, you know, Dr. Joe, it's okay to be hungry. And I stopped for a second. I thought, what a profound statement. It's okay to be hungry. You're not going to die. It doesn't hurt. It's just a little discomfort. And so it's okay to experience that hunger. I always recommend intermittent fasting, at least 12 hours a day. And I always do 12 hours every day, but if there's an and once or twice a week, I try to go to about 16 hours. And in those 16 hours, I'm hungry and I want to eat. I want to get rid of that hunger pang. It's okay to work through it. And I promise you, when you wake up the next morning, you're going to feel so much better. So if you wait too long to eat, it becomes a problem. So if you're starving, don't eat right away. Have a snack, wait 20 minutes, then eat. Because it takes 20 minutes to get the message from your stomach to your brain. Your stomach releases a hormone called leptin. Leptin goes into the blood, goes into the hypothalamus, and says, hey, I feel full. And if you can do that, you're going to eat so much less. And actually, more importantly, you're going to make better choices. So it's all about making sure the body is working the best it possibly can. And so if I'm thirsty, if I'm hungry, I want to make sure I'm not thirsty. If I'm starving, I want to give myself time to produce leptin so I make better choices. So my goal when I take a patient on is I want to get their nervous system working, the digestive system working, and their diet straightened out so they can work the best they possibly can. I know I've had a lot of patients that are in chronic pain. They say, Doc, when I'm in pain, I want to eat. Why? When you eat things like sugar, it releases chemicals that make you feel good, dopamine, endorphins, and so it helps cover up the pain. So if you have pain, it's okay to cover it up, but I want you to ask yourself this question. Why do I have this pain? What can I do to get to the cause of the pain and not just treat the symptoms? This is a novel approach to healthcare, I know, but we always try to get to the cause of whatever the condition is. Is it neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, acid reflux, headaches? I don't know. Whatever your problem is, I always say, where are we going to go to try to get to the cause? In the meantime, we can cover it up if we need to, treat the symptoms, but let's always get to the cause. So if you have a health problem, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, headaches, digestive issues, nutritional concerns, make an appointment to come see us. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge, and we can do remote consultations if we need to. But go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com, book an appointment. Let's evaluate your nervous system, your digestive system, your diet. Let's find out what we can do to get you performing the best you possibly can. Everybody's best is different. Now, normally the first visit is $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation on a second visit. I do this because I don't know what treatment you need. Let's find out what's going to be the best. How many times have you gone to a doctor or whatever, and they said, you have high blood pressure, take medication, or you have a problem, let's do surgery? What about a second opinion? What else can I do? And even if I need the surgery, I'm not against surgery, what can I do to get myself healthy going into the surgery and healthy coming out of the surgery? I'll ask you this. How many of you have taken medication for high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol problems? Has any doctor ever said to you, we're going to put you on a protocol to try to resolve the issue, not just treat the symptoms? Has anybody ever had a doctor say that? I don't know of anybody, and I've been in practice 40 years. So we always try to get to the cause of the problem along with treating the symptoms. So the reason we do this first visit is we want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment so that I can say, all right, maybe it's chiropractic, maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's orthopedist, neurologist, neurosurgeon, psychiatrist. I don't know. Let's find that out. We accept most insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. Go to my website right now, stop suffering, drjoe, drjoe.com. So we're talking today about reasons why you can't lose weight, and pain is one of them. I'm in pain, I want to keep eating, and I'm not moving around. I don't exercise, I can't walk, so that can be an issue too. Another problem is that you eat too often. Now, some people don't like to cook. I have a friend of mine, and he's a wonderful man, brilliant, but he just doesn't have domestic skills. And that's self-proclaimed. I'm not talking behind his back. So he eats out at restaurants maybe 2 or 3 meals a day. Now, that's not always a good idea because chances are you're not going to be eating the healthiest foods, and you don't know what's in the foods either. They may be using seed oils. They may be using additives, chemicals, emulsifiers. So I like to cook my own meals. And so if not just dinner, but some people eat lunch out too. And if you eat lunch out, a study was done, and your chances are you're going to be 5 pounds heavier than people that bring their lunch. I strongly recommend you brown bag it. I brown bag it 95% of the time. The only time I don't brown bag it is when I am going to meet somebody, if I have a meeting or a luncheon. So I like to do that because A, I know what's in the food, and B, I can eat whenever I want. Sometimes I want to eat at 11 o'clock. Sometimes I want to eat at 1 o'clock. Sometimes I'm not hungry. I don't eat lunch at all. And so I have discretion over what and when I eat. And it's so much cheaper. So if you don't know what to eat, go to my website, drjoe.com, and type in the search bar, so what can I eat? And just listen to that. It talks about breakfast, lunches, dinner, snacks, stocking your pantry, raising kids, going out to restaurants, Christmas. We talk about everything in that one little, I think it's about a 45-minute, 50-minute talk I gave. So it's a good idea to brown bag it. Now, you can always prepare your lunches if you want to. Many times on a Sunday, I'll prepare a big pot of soup, or I'll make some beans, I'll make some lentils, I'll make some split peas, make some Indian food, and I'll have it there and I'll eat that. But I don't want to eat it every day. That's boring. So what I'll do is I'll freeze it. And so maybe 2 days a week I'll have that, and then the next 2 days or so, I'll say, oh, what did I make last week? And I'll pull that out of the freezer. So usually I have 2 meals going at once, and that's always kind of good. And many times it's just a salad. I'll have a salad. I'll open up a can of organic chickpeas. I'll rinse them off. I'll put it in a salad. I'll use apple cider vinegar, extra virgin organic olive oil, salt, pepper, oregano, ginger. Make a salad. And the salad with the chickpeas really is a very filling meal. Or maybe some beans, white beans, black beans. A friend of mine made me some cannellini beans with kale the other day. And all it was sauteed onions, cannellini beans, kale, and a can of coconut milk. Spectacular. It's delicious. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of kale, but this was pretty good, I got to say. So prepare your meals and bring them with you. And try to stay away from those simple carbohydrates, the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. You don't have to have bread at every meal. I know that's a hard thing to understand. You don't have to have bread at every meal. So it's okay to have beans and rice. It's okay to have beans and quinoa. I have been known on occasion to just eat a can of beans. Put some hot sauce on it, a little salt and pepper, eat it. Feel good, very inexpensive, great source of fiber, great source of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. $1.20, $1.50 for a can of organic beans. So I remember one time I was eating a can of beans, and one of my staff members came in my office, and she said, "Why are you eating a can of beans?" I said, "Because I'm hungry." Simple answer. So don't think you have to have an elaborate meal. It can be a very simple, what we call a mono meal. A mono meal is just one thing of the meal. You can do that. You're perfectly fine. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today for reasons why you're not losing weight. And another one, of course, is we don't have enough activity. We sit all day. I find myself doing this. So what I do, and I'll do this a lot when I'm on the radio, we have commercial breaks. So I stand doing my show anyway. I stand whenever I do my shows and my lectures. But whenever I get a commercial break, I'll do 10 squats. Just air squats. Very gentle. Don't have to go all the way down to the floor. I'll do 10. Maybe I'll do 15 if I'm so inclined. So by the end of a 2-hour show, I've done 100 squats. And one of the key determinants of how long you're going to live is the strength of your lower body. Your hips, your waist, and your legs, because you have better balance, you have better strength, because one of the big things as we get older is risk of falling. So if you simply do 10 squats, you can do it every time you watch TV. Every time commercial comes on, 10 squats. It takes 10 seconds, maybe 12 or 15 if you go slow. You can give me 10 seconds. 10 squats, 15 squats. Shoot for 100 a day. You could do 10 while you're brushing your teeth, 10 while you're in the shower, 10 as soon as you get out of bed. You got 30 of them right there. You got 1/3 of them done already. 10 while you're boiling the water to cook your tea in the morning. That's what I do. So by the time I leave my house in the morning, I've got at least 50 squats in. And then you can do something called a cross crawl. Now, cross crawl is when you stand up, or you can do it sitting down, bring your right elbow to your left knee and your left elbow to your right knee. And you just do this. Okay? Great for the abs. Great for the digestive system because it's twisting and kind of squeezing your colon to get everything moving. And it also integrates your brain. If we sit all day, we're using one side of our brain. So the right side of the brain controls the left side of my body. Left side of the brain controls the right side of my body. So if I'm sitting all day, what am I doing? I'm working my mouse with my right hand. Maybe I'm talking on the phone. I'm using one side of my body more than the other, and I'm segregating my brain. I don't want to segregate. I want to integrate. And so when you first start doing this, it's going to take us several weeks, 4, 5, 6 weeks before you see any changes as far as weight loss goes and abdominal strength, but it's going to happen. And if you're old, what's going to happen is it's harder to build that muscle mass, and it's very quickly lose it. As soon as you stop doing it, a couple of days, it goes back. So do the cross crawl, do 10 at a time, do 20 at a time. If you could do 100 squats and 100 cross crawls every day, you'll get in shape. Not only your body, but also your brain and your digestive system. And this is a great way to help you have energy. You'll eat less because you're not starving. You're not sitting around all day. So there's no downside to doing this. If you can't do 100, do 50. If you can't do 50, do 10. If you can't do 10, do 1. Do whatever you can do. Cross crawl, squats, amazing what's going to happen, not only for weight loss, but for overall health. Folks, I'm looking at the clock. I got to go to break. If you have any questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. And the podcast is Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. You approve? Christy approves. We can continue, John. If not, we're done. Pack it up. We're done. You have questions for me?
What are the best supplements for someone with diverticulitis?
Super Green's an essential source to start because it's very easy on the colon. No fiber, very easy to digest. It's it's almost broken down for you. Digestive enzymes. I would take a digestive enzyme with every meal. Absolutely, glutathione, turmeric. That's an anti-inflammatory. Glutathione is for an antioxidant. So Super Green's essential source, glutathione, enzymes, turmeric. Now, that's specifically for that, but I think everybody should be doing B-complex as well, which you're not making B vitamins if your colon's inflamed. So you might want to add the B vitamins as well. So I would get on that right away. I would also go to my website, drjoe.com, and type digestion in the search bar and listen to that lecture. I don't want to treat diverticulitis. I want to treat the cause of diverticulitis. Big difference. When you listen to the show we did on digestion, it's going to make a lot of sense to you. And then you probably want to come see us because every case of diverticulitis, there's a physical component that needs to be addressed, and my team of doctors can address that for you. But you ask for the supplements, that's it. Super Green Essential Source, glutathione, enzymes, B-complex. What else? John's got a lot of questions. He's scanning everything. He's looking around.
What are triglycerides? I've heard that number is more important than the LDL number for cholesterol.
Well, cholesterol, you've been fed a lot of hooey when it comes to cholesterol. First of all, you need cholesterol. And many people, most people, majority of people that have Alzheimer's are on statin drugs. Cholesterol is necessary for brain function. It's necessary for the production of sex hormones. It's necessary for your cells. So cholesterol is very important. The LDL cholesterol is the one that oxidizes. It essentially rusts and then sticks to the artery walls. Now, it's not so much the LDL level, it's why is it sticking to the artery walls that's important. And so that's why you can do a test called homocysteine. Homocysteine will determine how much inflammation you have. And that'll kind of help. That's more of a test than just the cholesterol itself. You got to look at your diet. Why is my body oxidizing this cholesterol? And you got to find that, and it's usually a bad diet. It's pretty simple. 1 in 100 people have genetically high cholesterol. 99 out of 100 would do very well in most cases to change your diet. So what happens is I eat sugar. You asked about triglycerides, and I went off on a tangent. Sugar is converted into glucose. If it's not glucose already, the liver absorbs it. Once the cells have once the cells have enough glucose and you keep eating sugars, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, the body says, wait a minute, I can't have sugar floating around in the blood. What am I going to do with it? I've got to take that sugar and convert it into glycogen. Glycogen is where we store our excess sugar. It's in the blood vessels. It's in the liver. And so if I run out of sugar, I have my glycogen stores and I start burning glycogen. Once all my glycogen stores are filled up, my body says, uh-oh, I'm still eating sugar. What am I going to do with this sugar? So the body sends it back to the liver and it converts it into triglycerides, which then gets stored as fat. So the triglycerides are the end game. You've got too much of this stuff and the body doesn't know what else to do with it. It's going to store it as fat. So when the triglycerides are high, that's a warning sign. You got to say, hey, what am I doing? Why am I dumping so much sugar into my body to make my triglycerides go so high? So I look at triglycerides to say, how can I get them down? I don't want to take a drug to bring them down. I want to find out why they're high to begin with. And mostly it's due to poor diet. So if the triglycerides are high, change your diet. That's going to take all those free radicals out of the diet as well, and that's going to lower the oxidation of the LDLs, and that's going to clean up your arteries in most cases. So, yes, it's a bad sign, but now you know what to do about it. If you don't know what to eat, go to my website, drjoe.com, and type in the search bar, so what can I eat? If you have cholesterol questions, just type cholesterol in the search bar and listen to the show we did on cholesterol. But I digress.
Are 3-day fasts okay?
Yes, absolutely. 3-day fasts are great. Make sure you take your supplements with them. Super Green Essential Source, B-complex, vitamin D. You've heard me talk about that's the starter kit. I take a lot more. I take omega-3 fatty acids. I take men's hormone support. I take turmeric. I take adrenal support. So even when you're fasting, you can still do the supplements. This way your body gets the nutrients and helps your body detoxify better. And make sure you drink lots of water when you're fasting. So what else?
Can you take digestive enzymes every day?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, especially as you get older. Now, if I'm 16 years old, I probably don't need enzymes because my body is spitting them out like crazy. When you're into your 7th decade of life, you probably do need to take enzymes every day. Yeah, it just slows down that aging process. What else?
Is the rice at Mexican restaurants okay, or is it too much sodium?
There's too much sodium, and they usually use chicken broth as well. It's very rare I found a Mexican restaurant that doesn't use chicken broth in their rice. And so you could ask for white rice if you want to, if you have to do rice, or just forego the rice altogether. If I go to a Mexican restaurant, I make sure I get the beans that don't have any lard in them. Most places don't put lard in their black beans. I've never had a place that put lard in the black beans, and most places also the refries are okay. Some of them do put lard in there. You just don't eat them. Throw some guacamole on top of that. Throw some salsa on top of that. Then you go some pico de gallo, some lettuce, some tomatoes, some onions. And you could eat that with a spoon or a fork. And it's like a 7-layer dip. And it's delicious. Because you want to avoid the chips if you can. If you do chips, because I know most of you are not going to listen to everything I say, my rule is 5 chips. That's it. No more than 5. I don't care how you do it. No more than 5. And this way you're really cutting back on those chips because they are acrylamides, which are linked to cancer, and omega-6 fatty acids and genetically modified corn. And so it's so bad. The chips are like the worst of the worst, but they taste the best of the best. So that's how I do it. So that's a good rule. So ask them if they put chicken broth in the rice. They're probably going to say yes. And then you say, okay, I'll have another order of beans then. What else?
That is all.
Oh, wow. All right. Sip my tea here. All right. All right, ready for part 2? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you just joined us, welcome. If you stayed with me, thank you. I appreciate you. I know it's busy, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with me. So what we're talking today, we're answering the question, why can't I lose weight? And there's so many different reasons to it. And we covered a lot already. And by the way, we put all these shows on my website, drjoe.com, and you can always watch it there or listen to it there if you want to. And we have it on YouTube as well. So if you miss part of the show, and I understand life gets in the way, you can always go back and listen to not only this show, but as many shows as you want to. My website has about 4,000 hours of content on it. And so far, the cost to listen to all of that is absolutely free. And if you have any questions, you can send them to me through my website as well, drjoe.com. Happy to answer questions for you. Okay, and we get about 20 questions a day through the website, and I'm happy to answer all of them for you. So let's talk about more is why can't I lose weight? You use food as a reward. This was bad. This happened when we were kids. We all do it. Oh my gosh, you did so great. Let's go out for ice cream. How many people had that happen to them? Oh my gosh, it's your birthday. Let's have cake. Exciting story, right? I'll tell you a little story about that. Not long ago, I had a birthday. And for my birthday, somebody sent me a fruit basket, which was wonderful. And I went out with my friends, and we went out to a Thai restaurant. And it's a place I've been going to for over 20 years. And I walked in and I said, oh, Dr. Joe's here. Your usual? I said, yeah. So I had vegetables with tofu, and it was great. And then one of my friends said, let's get you a cupcake. It's your birthday. You deserve a cupcake. So we went to a store, Sprouts specifically. I have no affiliation with the company. And they were vegan, gluten-free cupcakes, and little tiny ones, about the size of a quarter, maybe a $0.50. And we bought a box, and we all split it. So I had 3. Okay, so 3 quarter-size ones. That night when I got home, you know what I wanted? More cupcakes. The next day, you know what I wanted? More cupcakes. The third day, yeah, I had to break this cycle because they were so good and so full of sugar that it just blew out my brain, and I released all this dopamine. I got this rush of pleasure, and what did I want? More pleasure. Ecstasy, that's a drug. I've never done it, but what ecstasy does, it dumps your brain with this massive amounts of dopamine. And so you think everything is great and wonderful, and you feel you're so lovey-dovey, romantic, but your brain never dumps that much again. Because your brain says that was too much of a dopamine release. I got to calm that down. So no matter what you do, you can't hit that. And a lot of drugs do this. The first hit is the best. Heroin, I understand, does the same thing. and it's called chasing the dragon. What do you want to do? You chase this for the rest of your life. I want to feel like I did after that first cupcake. I want to feel like I did after that first hit of heroin, or after that first hit of ecstasy. Is it a hit of heroin? I don't even know. And so that's how the body works. Your body down-regulates, it's called, to protect yourself. Now, I hadn't had sugar in years, probably, and so I had it as a treat. Didn't want to offend my friends who were taking me out. And so we used food as a reward, and boy, I wanted more. And so once I realized, again, we talked about this earlier, and we talk about, emotional eating, you have to realize why I'm doing it. If you've ever been to an AA meeting, people stand up and say, "Hi, I'm Joe, I'm an alcoholic." What's the first step of becoming sober is realizing you need to become sober. What's the first step of changing your diet and changing your health? Realizing you have to change your diet and your health. I love when patients come in the office and say, "Dr. Joe, I want to do what you tell me to do. It's time." I had a guy come in the other day. "Dr. Joe, I've been listening to you for 14 years. Every week I listen to your show, your Sunday, your radio shows, your podcast." He says, 14 years. Wasn't ready. I'm ready. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. He's done. I don't have to train him at all. He's ready to go. So if you have something sweet, I want you to realize something. What do you want more of it? You want more sweet. If you have bread, you want more bread. So you have to stop that cycle. Stop using food as a reward. So if you go to work out and you say, "I just worked out, I'm going to go have a drink. Let's go have a beer after my workout because I just worked out for an hour," you just wasted that whole workout. Metaphorically speaking, you got some benefit from it. So be careful how you eat and why you eat. I'm going to go out with my friends and we're going to have a treat. Okay, that's fine. Once you have the treat, think about it. Do I want more treats? If the answer is no, you're okay. If the answer is yes, then you got to say, "I got to rethink this. Maybe I shouldn't go out for a treat." I get invited to many, many, many events. Sometimes as a lecturer, sometimes it's just being invited as a guest. And all the events I go to, open bar, desserts, usually meals are provided, and I watch everybody else poisoning themselves. And I sit down and I'll have the cauliflower, I'll have the broccoli, I'll have the baked potato, I'll have the mushrooms. And dessert comes around and I'll say, "Can I get a bowl of berries instead?" And nicer restaurants have berries. They say, "Yeah, sure." They bring me a bowl of berries. Cheaper for them. And I think to myself, I see my friends hurting myself. My colleagues, I guess I should say. These aren't usually my colleagues, not my friends. And I watch it and I said, that's a shame. And sometimes I'll even joke. And I'll say, I got to get younger friends. You guys aren't going to be around that long. Or you know what? I have one friend, he drinks diet soda, and he's a friend. And I said, "Man, I got to take out a life insurance policy on you, man." I said, "I got that's a no-brainer right there. I'm gonna cash in on that one." So think about why you're eating. And you have to ask yourself this question: is it worth it? Ask a simple question: is this worth it? If the answer is yes, then eat it. If the answer is no, then don't eat it. I don't drink. Last time I drank, I was 28 years old. I was in a place called Anguilla, beautiful island, northernmost Lower Antilles, if I remember correctly. And it was a wonderful place. And I was there with somebody who was a kind of a big celebrity, a news person. And they sent a bottle of champagne to our room. And I was 28 years old. She was 40. And I said, "I'm going to have a glass of champagne. I'm going to celebrate." And so I had a glass of champagne, and I felt awful. And I remember thinking, I flew all the way to wherever it was. I had to find St. Martin and then take a boat over to Anguilla, whatever it was, this beautiful resort. And I didn't feel good. And I thought to myself, I'm done. I'm not going to drink anymore because it's not worth it. And half a day later, I came around and I felt better. One glass of champagne. And I said it wasn't worth it to me to be in paradise and not feel 100%. And so that's when I stopped. I never was a big drinker, but that's when I stopped drinking. So if you overuse the alcohol, those are, my mother used to call them wasted calories. Okay, so if you drink 3 or more drinks a day, that's certainly going to put on weight. Even I wouldn't say 3 or more drinks even a week. So I wouldn't recommend drinking. Now, if you're going to drink, because I'm a realist, again, I like being on top of my game. If you want to have a drink, that's fine. Make sure you take a second dose of Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and Dr. Joe's B-Complex, because you're going to pee out a lot of the vital nutrients in your body, and I want to replace and mitigate the damage that the alcohol did. Now, Super Green's an essential source of 2 powders. They taste great. I take a scoop of each. I mix them together. I add 10 drops of Dr. Joe's vitamin D3 with K2, shake it up with some coconut milk, almond milk, water, and I drink it first thing in the morning, along with my water. And I can't tell you how many patients have told me, Dr. Joe, I eat so much less food when I take your supplements. Because remember, when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. Food is just a conduit for nutrition. Most people consider what you consider food not really food, it's just calories, just filler. And so if you're eating fried chicken and French fries and you're not feeling full, or you want to eat more, it's because your body said, hey, listen, that was a 2,000 calorie meal. It was awesome. That's not what I wanted, though. I really wanted nutrients. So I'm going to make you hungry again. So maybe this time you'll get it right. This is your brain talking to you. Maybe this time you'll get it right and you'll start eating the right foods. So Super Green Essential Source, B Complex, and Vitamin D3 is the starter kit. They're all on the website, drjoe.com. Please, if you're not willing to do anything else, you're not willing to change your diet, you're not willing to move more, you're not willing to get your spine aligned, you're not willing to do anything else, at least take supplements. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. If your goal is to get well and stay well, supplements are a necessity, not a luxury. So Super Green Essential Source, B Complex, and vitamin D. If you're going to drink, take a second dose of that before you go out drinking or when you get home. Either way. So let's at least mitigate the damage. I know many of you aren't going to say I'm not going to give up booze, but at least I'm going to stop causing so much damage. And booze does so many different things. It lowers your testosterone. Gentlemen, if nothing else, stop drinking. I was at an event the other day, and this guy came up to me, and I've known him for years. And he says, hey, man, you're the smartest guy in the world. I listen to your shows. You're a genius. I love what you have to say. I'm going to start sending you some questions. Okay. So a couple of days later, I get a message. Hey, great seeing you, man. The doctor has me on testosterone injections. Now, he's my age. He says, I feel awful, and they're worried about increasing my risk of heart attack or stroke, so the doctor wants to take me off the testosterone. What can I do to naturally raise my testosterone? And when I met him, I was at a party. I said, you got to cut out the booze. Alcohol lowers testosterone. Done. Now, there's other things you can do, too. There's supplements, men's hormone support for women, women's hormone support, adrenal support, because the adrenal glands produce testosterone. As you get older, testicles don't do as much. The adrenal glands kick in. So there's a lot of things we can do to raise testosterone. Do squats, do cross crawl, build up your muscles. But you got to cut out the booze. And it's going to put weight on you, too. And it can cause fatty liver, of course. And fatty liver could kill you. I mean, and it could cause brain damage. So a lot of reasons to cut out the booze. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about why can't I lose weight? And you can't negotiate with yourself. I worked out. I deserve this. I didn't have anything all week. It's the weekend. I deserve this. What's your goal? If your goal is to go out partying with your friends, then you're absolutely right. Go out and party with your friends. If your goal is to get well and stay well and obtain optimum health, then you got to consider, what do I got to do? And it's not so much what you have to do. It's what you don't do. That's more important. That's a profound statement. It's not so much what you do, it's what you don't do that makes the difference. Don't eat alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Don't sit around all day. Don't sit at a desk. Get up and move around. Do your cross crawls. Do your just walking. General walking is fine. So don't do those things. And then what you do is take your supplements. Eat more quality foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Get your spine checked. If there was one thing that I could recommend to help you obtain better health, is you have to have a normally functioning nervous system. Nervous system controls everything. So if you have a pinched nerve going to your liver may work, but not at 100%. Spleen, kidneys, thyroid, testicles. So you've got to get the nervous system working. Now, if you have a pinched nerve, 10% of the time it hurts. 90% of the nerves don't feel pain. So you can have a malfunctioning nerve and not know it. That's why it's so important to check the nerves that feel pain and check the nerves that don't feel pain. And my team of doctors do that. So if you want to make an appointment to come see us, maybe you do have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, car accident, sciatica, absolutely come see us. But when you come in, we're going to check the nerves that don't feel pain as well. And so if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Normally the first visit is $940. I've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation, all on your follow-up visit. And I do that because I want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. I don't know that until I find out. Do you have arthritis? Do you have swollen discs? Do you have scoliosis? Is one hip higher than the other? Do you have a normal curve in your neck? Are the bones rotated? I don't know all this. So let's find out. Maybe it's chiropractic. Maybe it's orthopedics. Maybe it's neurology. Maybe it's physical therapy. I don't know. So that's why we say let's make it so affordable you can't say no. And then if we do need care, we'll put together a treatment plan for you. We'll do a nutritional workup on you. We accept almost all insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. I'm even on the VA referral list. My team is. So drjoe.com, stop suffering needlessly. And yes, we accept Medicare. So stop suffering needlessly. It's not just about my back hurts, my head hurts. It's about getting the whole body performing at 100% of its capabilities. So what's the website again? drjoe.com. So we're talking today about why you can't lose weight. And if you have stress and you have a snack attack, again, you're going to raise the cortisol levels, the sugar, the alcohol. I don't know what it is in the food. It may not be calories. 1,000 calories of almonds is a lot different than 1,000 calories of cupcakes. Yet it's the same calorie. A calorie is how much heat it takes to raise 1 liter of water 1 degree centigrade? That's how we measure a calorie. It's how much heat it takes. And so calories are calories. You're absolutely right. But what long-term effect does it have on the bacteria in your colon, your microbiome, your brain function, your hormone imbalances? If I'm raising my estrogen causes me to lay down fat, which then causes me to produce more estrogen, which causes me to lay down more fat. Is it lowering my testosterone like alcohol? Testosterone builds muscle mass. Muscle mass burns calories. So you really got to start to think, what am I putting in my body and why am I putting it in my body? Even more important. So if you're stressed out and you're eating snacks, stress is going to raise your cortisol level, which causes you to lay down fat. And boom, Elvis Presley said, what? I'm caught in a trap. And that's what's happening. You're caught in a trap. And I'm caught in a trap. I can't get out. Yeah. So you got to think about that. Why am I doing these things and what's it doing to my body? And the nice part is you don't have to know all this. I know it. I'll just share it with you. Now, if you make quick food decisions, I'm hungry. Let me grab this real quick. Okay? In my house, I have a snack shelf. But what's on my snack shelf? Nuts. I just got some chestnuts the other day. I love chestnuts. I have healthy foods on my snack shelf. So if I come home and I'm starving or I got to run out the door and I got to grab a quick snack, if I had donuts and cookies and cupcakes, I'd grab that. But instead I have nuts and seeds, dried berries. I'll grab that instead. In my car, I have little bags of nuts. So if I'm really famished, and we talked about that earlier, I don't want to make a bad decision, let me have this little bag of almonds or cashews, and let me see how I do. And I promise you, you're going to make better decisions. So if you're making quick grab-and-go foods, many times they're sugary snacks, they're sodas, and they don't have a lot of fiber. Now, I did a show the other day on medications that people take for weight loss, and it was the GLP-1 agonist specifically. And we produce GLP-1. GLP-1 is a chemical, hormone, not a hormone, a molecule. And our body produces it. And when the body releases GLP-1, it goes to our brain and says, I'm full. It goes to my colon, slows down my digestive system, goes to my heart. There are receptor sites all over the body, directly or indirectly, that are going to be affected by GLP-1. So we found out that we can synthesize GLP-1, inject it into your butt, and it does all that. Makes you feel full, slows down your digestive system, and boy, do you lose weight. The problem is when you do that, 33%, up to 33% of what you lose is muscle mass. Now, at my age, if you're over 40, and I am, it's really hard to build muscle. And if I'm going to lose a third of my muscle mass, how am I going to gain that back? I have trouble gaining it without losing 33%. How am I going to gain back 33%? And you got to remember, it's not just your biceps and your triceps that are muscles. Your heart, your sex organs, your blood vessels, your colon, these are all muscles, guys. And so I don't want to lose 33% of my muscle mass. So the way we can produce our own GLP-1 is we eat foods that are high in fiber. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, quinoa, spelt, things like this. And the fiber doesn't break down very quickly. It works its way down to the lower part of my small intestine where the bacteria in my colon finally break down that fiber. It takes a while to get there. And we produce things like butyrate, which is short-chain fatty acid, which is wonderful for so many things like the immune system. But then it also stimulates my L cells, the letter L. And L cells produce GLP-1. I just made my own GLP-1 for free. instead of $1,000 a month. And the GLP-1 then goes into my body, slows down my digestion, makes me feel full. And so that's small amounts of GLP-1. When you overload the body with GLP-1, or synthetic ones called GLP-1 agonists, that's when you start having problems. So by eating high-fiber foods, not only are you going to feel full right away, but it's going to help long-term, even producing something called, like I said, short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which are so important for the immune system. So more fiber. And again, if you don't know what to eat, go to drjoe.com and type in "so what can I eat" in the search bar and just listen to that. And the cost for all my shows on my website, my radio shows, my podcasts, my blogs, all that's absolutely free. That's my gift to you. So search the website. And if you can't find what you're looking for, you don't feel like searching, send me an email. It'll say, a little bottle pop up, say, "Hey, want to chat?" Send me an email, or it says contact us. It'll come to me personally. I'll answer your questions. If you have a private question, like erectile dysfunction or something like that, it's only coming to me. Nobody else is going to see it. So please feel free to be very open in your chats. I'm happy. Nobody else sees it. I don't share it with anybody. It goes right back to you. So we're talking today about why can't I lose weight. Another one is thyroid. A lot of people say, "Well, I have a thyroid problem, Dr. Joe." You might. You might have hypothyroidism. But the big thing is, especially in America, a lot of us, most of us, are deficient in iodine. And iodine is necessary for many things, including thyroid hormone production. And the thyroid hormones, the big ones, are T1 and T3 and T4. T4 converts into T3 in the liver. So many of us don't have a thyroid problem, we have a liver problem. The liver isn't converting T4, thyroid 4, into thyroid 3, or thyroid hormone 3, because the liver isn't working. And the numbers 4 and 3, by the way, tell you how many molecules of iodine are attached to that hormone. So if you don't have enough iodine, you may not be able to make enough T4 and T3, or the liver isn't converting T4 into T3. So that's why I recommend we need to add iodine to our diet. How do we do that? Well, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source both have sea vegetables in them. And sea vegetables are the best source of iodine. So one of the many reasons you want to take Super Greens and Essential Source every day is because of the iodine content. Other than that, the only source most people get iodine from is from salt. And you're not supposed to eat table salt. So what do? Caught in a trap. I can't walk out. Can't walk out. That was what Elvis said. I'm caught in a trap. I can't walk out. And that's what's happening. You're caught in this trap. Don't do salt, but if I don't do salt, I can't get iodine. I need iodine for my thyroid. Where am I going to get my iodine from? Super Greens and Essential Source. Another amazing benefit of Super Greens and Essential Source. Other reasons we're talking today about why can't you lose weight. I mean, if you're pregnant, don't try to lose weight. This is your time not to eat bad foods, but to load up on the good foods. It's okay to put on that weight because when the baby's born, if you ate good foods, that weight's going to come off real easy. If you ate a bunch of junk food, that weight's going to be real hard to come off. And you're not eating for just you. There's a 10,000 Maniacs song, and one of the lines in the song, "I eat for two. I walk for two. I breathe for two." Yeah, it's two people now. It's not just you. And so please take care of yourself. Vitamin D is so important for all of us, especially pregnant women. B-complex, so important for pregnant women. So if you're pregnant, drjoe.com, "So what can I eat?" Just eat off that, what I talk about. It's a list, but it's me talking. And don't do anything else. It's not your decision anymore. It's about the baby now. After the baby's born, do what you want. But at this point, our goal is to take care of that baby. And supplements absolutely positively. And many pregnant women have acid reflux and heartburn because the baby is pushing the stomach up into the diaphragm. Now, whether you're pregnant or not, if you have heartburn, acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, there's a technique my doctors and I use where we can physically pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And I had a patient come in the other day, and he was my age, little chubby, probably about 20 pounds overweight, horrible acid reflux, burping, bad breath, terrible gas. And so my doctors worked on him, pulled his stomach down. Next day he comes in and he grabs me. I'm walking down a hall. He pulls me in a room. He says, "What did she do to me?" One of my doctors. I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I feel great. My neck feels better. It's not fixed, but I didn't have any bloating. My wife said my breath didn't stink. My stomach flattened out. My gas went away. What did she do to me?" And I explained again. We pulled the stomach away from the diaphragm so you can digest your food. And he said what everybody says. "Why didn't somebody tell me about this sooner? I've suffered for so long. I've taken so many medications, and she just pulled my stomach down. It took 10 seconds. Why didn't somebody tell me about this sooner?" I said, "Listen, it doesn't work for everybody, but I'm so happy that it worked for you. Now your job is to be an ambassador and go tell other people." So if you have health problems, folks, just come see us. Don't be like everybody. I waited 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Dr. Joe, I heard you speak 40 years ago at my high school. I had that happen not long ago. And you told me diet sodas can give me headaches. I gave up diet sodas. I never had a headache since. And now I'm having these 40-year-old problems, well, 60-year-old problems now. And he said, I'm so glad you're still here. I want to come see you. So if you want to come see us, drjoe.com. If you have any questions, drjoe.com. You want to order supplements, make an appointment, drjoe.com. drjoe.com. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. I don't know how else I can make it easier for you, folks. We post every day on social media. One little minute, about a minute and a half posts. So if you like it, follow us. If you don't like it, unfollow us. Sign up for our newsletter. You can become part of the elite group of people that get announcements before they happen, supplement discounts. Sometimes we giveaways, T-shirts and stuff. We've given away concert tickets. It's drjoe.com. It says sign up for our newsletter, sign up. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. But that's going to be the ultimate, is sign up for our newsletter. So, folks, I want to be your doctor. So many of you are suffering needlessly, and it breaks my heart. And I don't want you suffering anymore. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time. All right. That was a lot. Always a lot, though. And I still got all this to cover. I didn't even touch. Another 2 hours right there. All right, John, you have questions for me?
Does red yeast rice have the same side effects as statins?
If this is the person who just sent me that question, the answer is yes. I just got that on the website. Yes, because what happens is there's an enzyme in your liver that produces cholesterol. That same enzyme produces something called coenzyme Q10. So red yeast rice, I think it's red yeast rice, is that what it is? Or red rice yeast, yeah. It lowers that enzyme production. So you're not producing cholesterol, but you're also slowing down your production of CoQ10. Now, CoQ10 is necessary for every single cell in the body. It goes, well, the ones that have mitochondria in it. It goes into the mitochondria. Mitochondria generates electricity. And the CoQ10 is necessary for the mitochondria to generate electricity. So if you're lowering your production of CoQ10, you're going to get tired. This is why a lot of people on statin drugs get really tired, because they're just not producing energy because CoQ10 loss. And so if you're taking statin drugs, I strongly recommend you take a CoQ10 as well. In fact, I got an email today from one of my best buddies in the world. I've known him for about almost 50 years now. And he said, listen, man, should I still keep taking CoQ10? He's my age. I said, absolutely. He said, okay, thank you. I'm walking into the health food store now. So CoQ10, yeah. So if you're going to take red yeast rice, it's going to lower the cholesterol. It's going to lower the CoQ10. So I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to lower your cholesterol naturally, go to my website, drjoe.com, and just listen to the show we did on cholesterol. Just type cholesterol in the search bar. So if you're going to do it, take CoQ10 as a supplement. What else?
What are the healthiest ways to increase your dopamine?
Well, romance is the absolute best one. Absolutely, but that's not always an option that people have. So physical contact, just hugging somebody for 20 seconds releases the dopamine and the norepinephrines. Dopamine, if you want to increase it, fava beans. Fava beans and velvet beans are high in L-dopa, which creates dopamine. I recommend this with patients with Parkinson's because many times I'll give them dopamine to help suppress the shakes. But studies have shown that velvet beans and or fava beans, velvet beans work better than fava beans, actually work as well as many medications without any side effects, plus all the nutrients. So that's something you might want to consider as well. But anything that gives you pleasure is going to release dopamine. So what do you like doing? I love talking. I love educating you guys. My dopamine is like being released like crazy right now. Exercise releases dopamine. Romance releases dopamine. Fava beans release dopamine. Healthy digestive system. If you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, you're not breaking proteins down to amino acids. So there's 20 amino acids. The amino acid named tyrosine becomes dopamine. So if you're not breaking down your proteins properly, you're not getting the proper release of tyrosine. Tyrosine becomes dopamine, so you can't produce as much dopamine. And then dopamine becomes norepinephrine, which gives you energy. So fixing the gut is going to be the main thing. No matter whether you have romance or you're hugging somebody or you're happy or you're playing with your grandkids, if you don't have a healthy gut, you're not going to be able to get the most neurotransmitter production. So fix the gut and then do everything else. And that will increase your dopamine levels.
Does red
something? John can't read it.
Does red yeast rice lower the production of cholesterol in the brain?
Well, cholesterol really isn't produced that much in the brain. It's produced more in the liver. So it lowers the production of cholesterol in the liver. And so, yes, that'll affect the brain because you're not getting enough cholesterol to the brain, but it's not coming from the brain. It's coming from the liver. So what else?
What are the best non-perishable foods for road trips?
Nuts and seeds. In fact, I was in Trader Joe's the other day, and I remember when I was in college, Trader Joe's was like one of the few places you can go to. It was a health food store. I used to grab these bags of organic nuts and dried berries, and I'd eat those because they were cheap. And so that's really good. Nuts and seeds are great. If too much can be weight gaining and cause some constipation too. So that's a real simple one. I'd have to say that's probably my number one pick. Now, you can do dried fruits. You can do freeze-dried fruits like strawberries, berries, things like that. Those are great as well, too. But make sure they don't have sulfites in them. You want to make sure they're organic. If they're not organic, they probably have sulfites in it, and sulfites can cause all sorts of problems like linked to cancer and stuff like that. So,
I enjoy soup. What is a healthy alternative to crackers?
you can make your own flaxseed crackers. You can go online and look that up. They don't taste like the regular crackers, though, I'll be honest with you. So that's a problem. If you're going to do crackers, I wish you wouldn't. But if you're going to do crackers, at least do gluten-free or organic. But I prefer you don't do the crackers. I like crackers, too. I'm not going to lie to you. I like crackers and chips and everything else. I'm human. So the flaxseed crackers would probably be your best choice. So, what else? John's got a lot today.
Can you have too much essential source?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll give you some diarrhea. Don't try it. Trust me. I would say no more than 2 doses a day. Scoop in the morning, scoop at night would be enough. That's the high end. 1 a day is usually enough. But in patients that are really sick, patients that have severe illnesses, digestive issues, more serious diseases, I'll get them on a double dose until we stabilize them, and then we'll get them back to a single dose. What else?
Is almond milk a better choice? It's only slightly more expensive than regular milk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not a fan of dairy. It's one of my 7 deadly sins. So almond milk is fine. You're not going to get a lot of nutrients out of it. People say, oh, well, it has phytates in it, and it's not good for you, and lectins. And yeah, just a couple of almonds are used in a whole half gallon of milk. So it's not a nutritious health food. It's just something I use to mix with my super greens and essential source and things like that if I'm cooking something that requires milk. Coconut milk's another good choice. So yeah, it's way, way better than cow's milk. Absolutely. Yes.
What are your thoughts on high bad cholesterol? My cholesterol is high and I was recommended to take statins, but I refuse to take medication.
Go to my website, drjoe.com, and listen to the show we did on cholesterol. I cannot tell you to take drugs or not take drugs. Now, if you make an appointment with me and we do a consultation, then I can give you more specifics. But generally speaking, listen to that show we did. When I got out of school 100 years ago, normal cholesterol was 300. Somewhere along the line, it dropped to 200. Because I remember talking to a patient one time and saying, well, you're at like 250, you're fine. I said, no, my doctor said 200. I didn't get the memo. So I went and looked it up, and sure enough, 200 is now the high end. So it's not just the cholesterol. It's the homocysteine. It's stuck to the artery walls. So you want to do more than just measure cholesterol. It's a lot more than just, hey, my cholesterol is high, lower it. You may have high cholesterol and be perfectly healthy if it's not stuck to the artery walls. You may have low cholesterol and have a heart attack because it is stuck to the artery walls. So it's a lot more than just cholesterol numbers. So listen to that show and then set up an appointment if you want to. We can talk some more.
What is your view on 369 oil and what is a better alternative?
No 6. Pretty simple. 369 is omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9 oils. You have way more omega-6s in your diet than you need. Trust me on this one. Okay, our perfect ratio is 1 omega-3 to 1 omega-6. Most people are about 20 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. Some people are 40 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. You don't need any more omega-6s. So a good quality omega-3, where I take one every day, is Dr. Joe's omega-3. Because fish oil is one source of omega-3. It's usually many times contaminated with mercury. It's not in a phospholipid form. It's already been rancid. So algae oil is the purest form of omega-3. Fish don't make omega-3s. They get it from eating algae. You're eating smaller fish who eat algae. So I take Dr. Joe's algae oil every day. You should too. You don't need the 6s, and if you're doing a little bit of olive oil, you're going to get your 9s. I wouldn't worry about the 9s either. The omega-3s are the big one. Cut out the omega-6s, take the supplement, you'll be fine.
What is your view on eating foods according to your blood type?
Dr. D'Adamo wrote a book called Eating Right for Your Blood Type. And he did that based on a research from his father got from a dentist back, I think it was in the 30s. Don't quote me on all this. And what he found was there seems to be a little pattern there. So I'm not going to say it's total, hogwash. But like one of the things, for example, the original research was that if you were very sick and you were type O, you did very well if you ate small amounts of raw organic meat. Small amounts raw organic meat. People say, I should eat more steak. No, that's not what the research says. And so I'm an A. So I'm supposed to be vegetarian. All right, maybe it's true. I don't know. I think there might be some validity to it, but I really wouldn't put a whole lot of heed to it. And also because maybe even in the 30s and 40s, if you were Italian, you came from Italy. Now, how many pure Italians are there? Not a lot. I'm half Italian. I'm half German. So my blood type would have changed over time. And so we've been so hybridized just in our genetics that I'm not saying it's total hogwash, but I wouldn't base my whole life on it. So, what else?
Where are you located?
I'm standing right here. I'm in my office upstairs. Oh, no. Oh, where my office is. Oh, okay. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in the Atlanta area, or we can do remote consultations if we need to. What else?
What are the best choices at Mexican restaurants?
You want to get the beans that don't, we talked about this, the beans that don't have any lard in them. Black beans are usually safe, but sometimes the refrieds are okay too. Guacamole is great. Salsa, pico de gallo, I stack it up like a 5 or 7 layer dip, whatever it is, and I'll just eat it with a fork or a spoon. So that would be your best choices right there. I don't recommend fried chips. I don't recommend tacos. If you're going to do it, I hate to say this, soft shell is better. It still is wheat, which is not great, but it's a heck of a lot better than fried corn chips with genetically modified corn and omega-6 fatty acids and acrylamides. So, yeah, those would be better choices. What else?
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo to you, too. Absolutely, yes.
That is all.
That is all. Well, thank you for that happy wish. And please, folks, I'm begging you, please follow me on all social media. That's your job. Because the more higher we go on a social media ranking, the higher we get. If you're so inclined, you can give us a Google review, only a good one, please. And that helps us raise our social media, our website higher in search engines. If you like this and you want more people to know it, you've got to become an ambassador for me, and you've got to go out and spread the word. So any other questions, where do you send them? drjoe.com. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.